Josh Allen now is the number one rushing quarterback in rushing yards with 409. Welcome to Just the Stats, NFL Top 10's for Thursday. Good morning. My name's Ernie, and we are off and running with Top 10's today. Some Top 10's and also Top 10 teams, my power rankings heading into Week 14. So Top 10 teams after Week 13. Basically the same teams, but in a change of order to some degree. And we're also going to look at the top 10s this season in quarterbacks, running backs, and maybe receivers. We'll see how we do. I need to wrap this up around 30 minutes, so we'll do that. So since that's the case, let's get started. And let's start off top 10 teams after Week 13. All right, number one. Well, last week it was the Rams. Had been the Rams for a few weeks. But now it's New England Patriots are number one. And I've got Denver Broncos number two. I don't know that they're better than the Rams, maybe not. But there's something to be said when you're on a streak of 9 to 10 game winning streak. And the New England Patriots are 11-2, have not had their bye. They're finally having their bye week this week. They've played 13 games, won 11 of them, and 10 in a row. So it's very impressive for some team to do that. I mean, just to get up every game and be that ready to go that many games in a row, 10 wins in a row, no matter who you're playing. And you've seen all these teams, like the Rams, for example, losing to the Carolina Panthers, who are not a great team. They're decent, obviously. They're winning record, but it's just hard to get up going to another halfway across the country or all the way across the country or whatever the case is. And the same for the Denver Broncos. I know they've won some close games and even last week, but they've won 9 in a row. So it's just impressive to continue to win week in, week out, no matter who you're playing. It's a tough thing to do. I mean, when you look at some of the winning streaks after those, you got a 3-game winning streak, like that. I mean, no one's got – the only one that's has a winning streak of any length beyond 3 is the Chicago Bears, who have a 5-game winning streak. So they basically have double that. That's just how impressive. So that's why I've got New England Patriots 1, Denver Broncos 2. Now, like I said, the Patriots are on a bye week. So, man, what a time to have a bye week. You're 11-2. You almost got your conference wrapped up. You got a 2.5 game lead. If the Buffalo Bills lose, they go to 8-5. They'll be 3 games back with 4 games to go. And if they win, they're still 2 games back. So it's really tough. I mean, New England Patriots are making it tough on the Buffalo Bills to win this division. And the same with the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos just continue to win. They've got a 2-game lead on the Chargers, and the Kansas City Chiefs are 4 games back with 5 games to go. Now, the Raiders play the Broncos this week. So Denver, now the Raiders have been tough on occasion, but not late. I actually should say not lately. The Raiders have lost 6 in a row, and their offense looks bad. Geno Smith tied for the lead in NFL in quarterback interceptions, and just being sacked regularly as well. It's just been bad for the Las Vegas Raiders. Our offensive line is bad. I mean, you've got Brock Bowers on offense, Ashton Genty, which you wish could be better. But I watched that game, and they were even pointing it out in the broadcast, showing how he's getting hit. He hasn't even reached the line of scrimmage, and he's already having to break tackles in the backfield. So it's just not conducive to a good running game. So they've got on Brock Bowers on offense, basically, and then you've got Max Crosby on defense. But, one man on each side is just not enough to have any kind of a winning team. So, Denver Broncos, I figure they'll win. So they could have the same 1-2. Now, number 3, Los Angeles Rams. Number 4 is Seattle Seahawks. Again, 2 teams, same division, and they've been battling it out all year. So they're both tied for first place. The Rams are in first place because of division record, but wow, those are 2 tough teams. They're both 9-3. Now the Rams play Arizona Cardinals, which they should win. Especially after it's at Arizona, but of course this is not the same as going cross country to play the Panthers. It's not that far. But after that loss last week, which everything went right for the Carolina Panthers to win that game, they won by 3, but Stafford turned the ball over 3 times, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions and a fumble. So you don't expect that. In fact, it'd been 10 weeks since Stafford had thrown an interception. So you don't expect that to happen again. So I figure the Rams will beat the Arizona Cardinals. Same with the Seattle Seahawks. Now they're going to Atlanta. That is across country for them, a long trip, but Atlanta is pretty much out of it. They were hoping to stay in it, but they're 4-8. Though in their division, they're not technically out of it because Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 7-5. So they're 3 games back, but with only 5 to go, that's rough. They have a pretty good defense, and sometimes, Kirk Cousins being in there doesn't help their offense, but they've got some good offensive players if Kirk Cousins can get them the ball and Robinson can run. But I do expect Seattle Seahawks to win as well. That's the thing I noticed with these top 4 teams. One has a bye, and the other 3 teams are playing teams with losing records. So they all should win. Now, the big one is I have the Chicago Bears ranked 5th. I've continued to move them up. They're now number 5. And I know some have them higher, but they're 9-3, which is the same as the Rams and the Seahawks. I can't put them higher than them. But they're playing at Green Bay. That's a big game right there. This will flip-flop. This division has flip-flopped who's been in first. I mean, Lions, Packers, and Bears have all been in first place with Chicago up there right now. And they've been on a 5-game winning streak, which is why. But they play the Green Bay Packers. So Green Bay wins this game. Chicago Bears is going to drop to 2nd spot. So this is a big game for both teams. Be interesting to see how that goes. And I do have Green Bay Packers at number 7. So we'll shake up the top 10. In between them, I have the Philadelphia Eagles, who dropped 3 spots. Now they've dropped 6 spots actually in the last couple of weeks with their play. And that number 6 might be too high. I mean, their offense just is struggling. Their defense is fine. Now they play the Chargers, who I did have in this top 10, but I don't have them in this week. They've been in there at some point in the season. They're 8-4, as are the Eagles. This was kind of hard at the bottom of this list to figure out who should be. I mean, I almost could have the Chargers in here at number 10, maybe. But anyway, the Eagles play the Chargers. That's a huge game and will definitely affect the rankings in some way. Like I said, Green Bay's at 7. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 8. I put them in the first time last week at number 10. They won handily over Tennessee Titans. Not that that's impressive in itself, but they really had that game wrapped up by halftime and just coasted the rest of the way, held the Tennessee Titans to 3 points, and really dominated the game. Now they play the Indianapolis Colts, who I have at number 10. Another big game between teams in the top 10 here. That game one of the teams will not be in the top 10 after this week, especially the Colts if they lose. I almost don't have the Colts in here anyway. I looked at their record, compared it to the Buffalo Bills, and I probably should have compared it to the Chargers as well. The Colts don't have that many big wins, and neither do the Bills. I mean, the Bills have beaten Carolina Panthers, Kansas City Chiefs, but both of those teams are just above 500 or 500. I know the Chiefs are supposed to be tough, but this year, the Kansas City Chiefs have lost 6 games. They're only 500 team. And I had the Colts up here at number 10 because they did beat the Denver Broncos, though it was, I think, in week 2. So it's been quite a while since they had such a big win, and that was probably their biggest win so far this year. Now, the reason I should have maybe thought more about the Chargers is they have beat the Broncos and the Chiefs. So that's a possibility. But in fact, they beat every team in their division. So that's another team to think about. But similar record to the Colts. But then on the other hand, Jaguars stomped the Chargers 35-3, I think it was. I mean, they sacked Herbert so many times. Their offense, Herbert left after the first half. He had 81 yards of passing. So their offense looked pathetic at that game. So maybe that's in the back of my mind why I don't have them in the top 10. So I have the Jaguars at number 8. Indianapolis Colts are coming into Jacksonville to play on Sunday. And again, another huge game. And then number 9, San Francisco 49ers. They're 9-4. Now they're on a bye week as well. But they've been playing fairly well, fairly consistently. They've won 3 in a row. So, they're starting to get a little more healthy, and they could be a tough team. Anytime you got Christian McCaffrey, it's a game where they should have a chance to stay in the game and then ultimately win it. So I got them at number 9, and like I said, the Indianapolis Colts at number 10. That is my top 10 teams. There are some big games here. I mean, between teams on this list, Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers, the Jacksonville Jaguars host the Indianapolis Colts, and then the Philadelphia Eagles at the Los Angeles Chargers, who I would put, if I wanted to, at 10A, after the Indianapolis Colts. So really 3 big games, which include 6 of the top 10 teams. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. I mean, this is really getting close. Even tonight's game, 2 teams trying to get into the playoffs tonight between the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. Whoever loses that game, their playoff chances are just about shot. I mean, Detroit Lions right now are 2 games back at Chicago and 1 game back of, a game and a half behind the Green Bay Packers. So they can't afford to lose. They're 7-5. They really need to win, as do the Dallas Cowboys. They're a game and a half behind the Eagles. And really, I don't see them having much of a chance to do anything but win their division. So they have to continue to win. At 6-5-1, and with all these teams in the NFC with 3 or 4 losses, I think it's going to be hard for Dallas to get in the as a wild card. I think they're probably going to have to win their division. And as long as the Eagles continue to falter, they have a chance to do that. I mean, the Cowboys are on a 3-game winning streak. The Eagles are on a 2-game winning streak. So not too long ago, I was saying how the Eagles pretty much had this division wrapped up. Well, that has definitely changed. All right. That's a look at that. Now, I want to look at some of the season leaders so far, as far as quarterbacks and running backs, and we'll see after that. But starting with the passing yards by quarterbacks, Drake May leads the NFL with 3,412 yards. That is a decent amount over Dak Prescott. Now, Drake May has not had a bye week. All these other players have, so this will change. Dak Prescott's second, and he's basically 151 yards behind, so it's very likely that after this week, with Drake May not playing, Dak Prescott will pass him, as will probably Patrick Mahomes. Now, after that, that's probably it, because Matthew Stafford's 350 yards behind, 340 yards behind. And so unless he has a huge game, I don't see Matthew Stafford or anybody else catching Drake May. So Drake May right now is number 1, may fall as far as number 3. And as I mentioned, Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes are 2 and 3. Matthew Stafford's 4th. And I just mentioned that because, to me, he's the MVP of the NFL right now. Drake May's putting up a good argument as well. And those are your 2 of your top 4 quarterbacks as far as passing yards go. Now, when we look at passing touchdowns, this is where Matthew Stafford has a huge lead. Matthew Stafford, 32 passing touchdowns right now, by far over anybody else. Jared Goff and Dak Prescott both have 25. So a 7-touchdown lead over those two players. Drake May is fourth with 23. But again, he's not going to get any this week, being on a bye. So he will drop, I'm sure. Patrick Mahomes is 1 touchdown pass behind. Herbert's 2. So Patrick Mahomes gets 1 or 2 touchdowns, he'll pass or at least tie Drake May. But again, you got Matthew Stafford and Drake May in the top 4 right now in passing touchdowns. And really, that's it. I mean, those top 6 players, 21 or more, no one else has 20 touchdown passes. You got 8 players with 19. So really, you've got 6 players pretty much dominating as far as passing touchdowns, with one, Matthew Stafford, being so far of anybody else. He's got a clear lead in that category. Now, looking at interceptions, this has been a 2-man race right so far for most of the season, ever since you had a quarterback for Browning for the Bengals when he left. He had an early lead, but Tua Tagovailoa and Geno Smith both have 14 interceptions. They both had one more last week, and so they're both tied at number 1 spot with 14. Next up, Trevor Lawrence has 11. Now, fortunately for him, he had 3 2 weeks ago, but last week he didn't have any, so kind of slowed that pace down. But he's got 11, so he's in the 3rd spot. Sam Darnold for the Seahawks has 10. Now, he's the opposite. He's kind of like Trevor Lawrence in a way. He didn't have any interceptions. He was just a very controlled quarterback, but then he had a game with 4, which really shot him right up this list. Now, Joe Flacco, who's not playing anymore, he's got 10. He's 5th. J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't played that much himself, he's already got 10. So, and then you've got Josh Allen with 10, which is so far different than he was last year. Nobody else broke into this top 10 number here, which ranges from 9 to 14 interceptions. Now, looking at quarterback being sacked, this is where Cam Ward's led this for quite a while. He leads the NFL with 48 quarterback sacks. Now, Geno Smith is only 2 behind now. 2 weeks ago, Geno Smith got sacked 10 times, which shot him right up the list to 41. Then he got sacked again last week 5 more times. So in 2 weeks, he's been sacked 15 times. He's now 2nd with 46 sacks. Drake May is 3rd with 40. They're the only players with 40 or more. But Cam Ward and Geno Smith have a decent lead over even Drake May. Now, Drake May has 40, and in this case, the fact that he's played 1 more game than most teams makes a difference. I'm sure Justin Herbert will probably pass him. He's got 38, and that might be it, because next up at number 5 is Trevor Lawrence, but he's only got 32, so I doubt it. I mean, if Trevor Lawrence gets sacked 8 times, the Jaguars probably lose that game to the Colts. Josh Allen's up here in a category which you don't normally see him. He's 6th with 28. So, to show you how rough the season's been for Hurts and Mahomes, they both have been sacked. And Lamar Jackson, all have been sacked 27 times this season, which might explain a little bit of their record. And the same with Josh Allen with 28 times. The only one that's interesting is Drake May, who has been sacked 40 times in his 3rd, and yet they are 11-2. So it doesn't always coordinate exactly sacks to wins, but often it does have some correlation. You get sacked too many times, you're just losing ground in a game. All right, to look at our quarterbacks now, let's look at the running backs. Now, Jonathan Taylor has continued to lead in this category, but it is definitely tightening. Jonathan Taylor is in 1st place in rushing yards with 1,282 yards. Now, he's done that in 12 games, so he's averaging over 100 yards a game. Now, also at number 2 is James Cook, who has 1,228 yards. So he also in 12 games. So he's also over 100 yards a game. Now that has changed. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's been over 100 yards a game for quite a while, but James Cook had been, then he dropped back down, but he had a couple of good games, especially last week. He had a huge game, shot him right back up there. So all of a sudden, James Cook's dominating lead in the rushing yards category is not so dominating anymore. It's James Cook is putting a lot of pressure on him. He's only 54 yards behind him now. And whether it's an accurate account of how good the Jaguars' rushing defense is or not, currently they are number 1 against the rush. Now, I think some of that has to do with the fact that their passing defense isn't that great, and a lot of teams choose to attack them by the pass, but still, it does say something about their offensive line that they are number 1 in rushing defense. So that could put a damper on Taylor this week. We'll see. The other 2 players that have over 1,000 yards now, but farther back, Devon Achane has 1,034, and Jahmyr Gibbs had a huge game and has jumped all the way up to 1,019 yards. Those are your top 4 players, the only ones with 1,000 yards or more. All right. Christian McCaffrey's number 10. I mentioned that because he's also number 10 in receiving yards. What a good year he's had. All right. Let's look at the rushing touchdowns. Now here, Jonathan Taylor does have the big lead. He's got 15 rushing touchdowns. Didn't have any last week, so he stayed at 15. The same with Josh Jacobs, has stayed at 11. He had 11 last week, 11 this week. Now, Josh Allen had 1 more. He's got 11 as well. Big year for him in rushing touchdowns, which may hurt James Cook. James Cook has 8. He had 8 last week. He's got 8 this week. Last year, James Cook had 16, so he's definitely not going to reach that total. But in this list of top 10, you have Josh Allen with 11, and you have Jalen Hurts with 8. You have got 2 quarterbacks in the top 10. Another interesting stat is that you've got 2, what would be more of the backup running backs in this top 10. You've got Tyler Algier for the Falcons, who's the backup to Robinson, and you got Zach Charbonnet for the Seahawks, the backup to Walker. They both have 8 rushing touchdowns, so they lead their team in rushing touchdowns, and to the point that they're in the top 10. They're tied. Actually, they're tied for 6 because you've got 6 players with 8 rushing touchdowns, and then it's a jump to Derrick Henry, who has 10. New to this list is Christian McCaffrey with 8, Tyler Algier, and Zach Charbonnet all have 8. They're all new to the top 10 list. All right. Well, we got a little time. Let's look at one more category here. We got rushing quarterbacks, rushing yards by quarterbacks. This was Justin Fields for most of the time, but now that he's not playing, he's dropped down to number 2, and it's given Josh Allen time to catch up. Josh Allen now is the number 1 rushing quarterback in rushing yards with 409. Justin Fields has 383, and 409 for Josh Allen is a big gap between him and Justin Fields, who has 353. Now, Jackson Dart is the one who probably would be at the top of this list, but being that he didn't start the season as the starter, and he's only had, I believe, 8 starts so far. He was out last week or the week before that because of a concussion. He's got 337. I think he would probably be number 1 quarterback if he had been consistently in the game all season. Definitely would be. But yeah, Josh Allen, number 1 in rushing yards this season. Had a decent game last week, had 38 yards last week, which is one of the reasons they shot up so much. Whereas Justin Herbert had 8. All right. Should say Jaden Daniels is 10th still with 262, and he hasn't played but even half the games. He'd probably be another one. Him and Dart would be challenging Allen for sure if they played the whole season. But that's a credit to Allen. He plays every game, every season. He's always seems to stay healthy enough to play. All right. We're going to call it a wrap there because the next up we'll look at some receiving numbers. But tomorrow we will also take a look at the top 10, some other top 10s for the season. Different top 10 numbers. We're also going to take a look at the Thursday night game between the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. What a big game that will be. So we'll have a lot of different stats to look at. We'll look at that game and see which team has dropped out of the playoff contention, or basically will have dropped out. Not obviously officially, but their path to the playoffs will be very difficult. And which team improves their status. So I think if the Cowboys can win that game, they would definitely put some more pressure on the Philadelphia Eagles to have to go out and win. And the same for the Detroit Lions. They can get to 8-5. They'll put a lot of pressure on the Bears and Packers to have to win. And obviously one of those teams will not win. So that's a big game. That'll help Detroit Lions pull a little closer as well. All right. Appreciate you listening. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. You can find it on YouTube at Just the Stats NFL, where you can see the video, the charts that I do, and so forth. Or you can listen to it through, on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you happen to listen to your podcasts. And you can also contact me at justthestatsnfl@gmail.com if you choose to contact me that way. But please feel free to put a comment in the comment box if you got one. I will try to always read those and check them out. So again, appreciate listening. Please like and subscribe. And that is a wrap for Top 10s for Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm out.